Actually, there's something I want to talk to you about today.
What happened?
Actually, it seems that Matthew is having an affair.
What? No way! I decided to make a video call to Matthew. Then, for a moment, the secretary next to Matthew appeared on the screen. Matthew, how's the trip going?
We're having fun in a pair.
Huh? Wasn't it supposed to be a trip for 3 people?
Oh, that? Ah, yeah. One person got sick and couldn't come. Is that okay now? I'm keeping my friends waiting.
In addition to Matthew's arrogant attitude so far, my love level for him has plummeted to negative due to his betrayal by having an affair. My anger and that of my parents-in-law have reached our peak, and we have decided to take action. My name is Elena. I have been married for 10 years and have 2 daughters. I am leading a happy married life. I work for my father's company and met my husband Matthew there. We dated for 2 years and got married. Since I was an only child, my parents wanted Matthew to marry me. Matthew is the 3rd son, and my parents-in-law said that if Matthew wanted to do so, he could do it without any opposition. After marriage, I quit my job and became a housewife to protect my family. Matthew, who is fond of children, took the initiative to participate in child-rearing when our daughters were born, and we have lived without any complaints so far.
How about going on a picnic this Saturday?
That's a good idea. Our daughters will be happy too. Should we make sandwiches for lunch?
That's a good idea.
It's your favorite food, isn't it? Despite being busy with work, Matthew never forgets to take our daughters out to play on weekends. However, 3 years ago, my father collapsed and was rushed to the hospital. He never came back home and passed away. My mother, of course, and we, the couple, were very shocked and depressed. But we had to protect the company and the employees that my father left behind. Matthew became the president and continued to run the company. The company was growing steadily and Matthew's skills were appreciated. On the other hand, my mother became more prone to illness and spent more time in bed. After my father's death, we moved in with my mother at her home. My parents were known as a loving couple by the neighbors. My mother, who I thought was still young, lost her life partner and aged quickly. She also caught a cold and followed my father. I started to notice Matthew's change after my mother died. He used to come home by dinner time and eat with our daughters and me, but he gradually came home later and later, and these days he always came back in the morning. You've been coming home late lately. The kids are lonely.
I can't help it. I'm busy with work.
Work is important, but I want you to show your face to the kids a little.
I know.
I didn't mean to blame him, but Matthew answered in an irritated tone. We hardly had any conversation as a couple. Another day. The day after tomorrow, the kids have a sports day. Can you come and watch with me?
Oh, no. I have work.
Can't you show up for a little bit?
I said no. Who do you think is making this wealthy life possible for you? It's because I'm working hard for you guys.
He became more arrogant since he became the president. But there was one more thing I had to tell him that day. By the way, did you hear from my uncle? Next month, we're going to have a family gathering on my mother's anniversary, so keep your schedule open.
Ha! I see. I have to get up early tomorrow, so I'm going to bed.
Matthew gave me a vague answer and went to sleep. Sure enough, the day before my mother's anniversary.
I'm going on a trip with 2 friends from college for 2 nights and 3 days from tomorrow.
What? I told you we have a family gathering tomorrow.
Huh? Did you say that? I didn't hear it. Both me and the guys I'm going with are busy with work, and we only have 3 days off from tomorrow. Well, I'll visit your mother's grave later, so that should be fine. It doesn't matter if I'm not at the gathering, right?
How could you? I told you early so you could clear your schedule.
Oh, is that why I had time? Good timing then. Well, that's that. I'm going then.
What? Where are you going now?
Oh, the flight I booked is early tomorrow morning. So I'm staying at a hotel near the airport today. See ya. Take care. And tell the relatives I'm on a business trip.
Hey, wait a minute. Matthew left with his suitcase in his hand. He wasn't such a heartless person before. I closed the front door with a deep sigh. The next day, I was asked by the relatives about Matthew's whereabouts, but I said, he's on a business trip he couldn't miss, as Matthew told me to, so as not to make a big deal out of it. My parents-in-law also came to the gathering and were surprised that Matthew wasn't there. They wanted to talk to me slowly, so we went back to my house together. Thank you for coming in spite of your busy schedule.
Not at all. We owe a lot to your parents, so it's natural for us to come.
Where is Matthew? I haven't seen him at all.
Well, he had some plans, apparently.
He didn't come?
What? What's more important than the memorial service? What is he thinking?
I'm sorry, Elena.
No, he's always busy, and he said he and his friends who are going on a trip only had 3 days off from today.
A trip? He can do that some other time. You. Don't tell me.
My parents-in-law looked at each other with bitter faces.
Actually, there's something I wanted to talk to you about today.
What's wrong?
Actually, this is very hard to say, but it seems that Matthew is having an affair.
What? No. How could he? I saw it with my own eyes. At the ladies' club gathering, we went to a restaurant for dinner, and there was Matthew with a woman I didn't know. It was night and it didn't look like work.
So I thought it couldn't be true and had a detective agency check it out. This is the result.
He put some documents and photos on the table, and when I checked them, the result was obvious. There was even a photo of them entering a hotel with their arms around each other. Matthew having an affair? I couldn't find the words for a while. The woman in the photo was Matthew's secretary, Genesis. Genesis was supposed to be married.
Could it be that he's on a trip with that woman today?
I decided to make a video call to Matthew. It seemed that Matthew pressed the call button, and his situation appeared in front of us.
Huh? Is this a video call?
He looked panicked and moved around. But for a moment, the secretary next to Matthew came into view. My parents-in-law and I looked at each other and made a disgusted face. You know, your father and mother came to the memorial service today. And they wanted to see your face after a long time. How's the trip?
Oh, yeah. We're having fun in a pair.
Huh? Wasn't it supposed to be a trip for 3 people?
Oh, that? Ah, yeah. One person got sick and couldn't come.
Oh, I see.
Hey, Matthew. You going on a trip on Elena's mother's anniversary and not attending the gathering. That's not acceptable as a son-in-law.
I told you, I couldn't help it. I'll visit the grave later, so that should be fine.
Hey, Matthew!
That's enough, okay? I'm keeping my friend waiting. Let's talk when I get back.
Matthew ended the call unilaterally.
I hate people who do things half-heartedly like this. I can't forgive him just because he's my son. It's rude to Elena and the grandchildren. If Elena wants to divorce him, I think there's no choice.
I was aware of the anger bubbling up inside me. I called my daughters and asked them how they felt about living apart from their father. How do you feel about not being able to live with your dad from now on?
I don't mind. He was always like he wasn't there anyway. He doesn't play with us, and he doesn't come to our sports day or open class day. We don't need him.
My daughters were cooler than I expected. My love level for Matthew had plummeted to negative due to his arrogant attitude and his betrayal of the family by having an affair. My anger and that of my parents-in-law had reached their peak, and we decided to take action. And then, the day Matthew came back home, my cell phone rang. I answered the phone slowly.
Hey! Where are you? What's this divorce paper on the table?
Huh? Don't you understand? We're getting divorced.
What do you mean, all of a sudden? Why are we getting divorced?
Why don't you think about it yourself? Don't you have any idea? You're having an affair, aren't you?
Matthew, who thought I didn't know about his affair, was defiant all the time.
That's ridiculous. You're being unreasonable. And where did you put my stuff in the study?
Oh, I sent your personal belongings to your new place. They're probably being unloaded by now, don't you think?
What? New place? What are you talking about?
Before I could answer, he seemed to get another call.
Ah, wait a minute.
He put the call on hold. After a while, I heard Matthew's angry voice.
What have you done to me? Why did you send my stuff to Genesis's house? Genesis's husband was furious and called me angrily.
That's why. I just sent it to your next place.
That's nonsense. Where are you now?
I'm at your parents' house, you know?
Good. I'm coming over there.
About an hour later, I heard Matthew coming into the house roughly from the front door.
Listen to me. Elena is crazy. She accused me of having an affair and sent my stuff to my secretary's house. That's so annoying.
The annoying one is you. You are really having an affair, aren't you?
Wait a minute. Are you also on Elena's side, Dad?
I was the one who confessed your affair to Elena. This is the proof.
He shoved the investigation results from the detective agency in front of Matthew. The evidence photos fell out of the envelope, and Matthew was stunned.
No! This is...
Before Matthew finished speaking, his cell phone rang. You should answer the phone, shouldn't you? Matthew checked the phone as if he came to his senses. He looked hesitant to answer or not. I'll answer it for you. I took the cell phone from Matthew's hand and touched the call button. I also turned on the speaker mode.
Matthew, my husband found out everything. I'm going to be divorced, so make me your wife as you promised. It was my dream to be the president's wife, and I have no problem divorcing my current husband. But your wife is so annoying, sending your stuff to my house.
As I was about to say something, my father-in-law started to speak in an angry tone.
I was the one who sent Matthew's stuff to your house. You know? Elena just agreed to my plan.
Huh? Who? Matthew? Is that you?
I'm Matthew's father.
And I'm Matthew's wife. You admit to the affair, don't you? I'll sue you for alimony through a lawyer later, so be prepared.
What? But you're going to divorce him, right? Then I'll be the president's wife, and I can pay you any amount of alimony.
I sighed at her frivolous words. Meanwhile, Matthew was hanging his head with a pale face. And no wonder. He had to face the claims for child support and alimony from me, and the claim for alimony from his lover's husband. I asked a lawyer to handle the divorce and the claim for alimony later. Matthew, who was brought to the office by his parents-in-law, looked exhausted. He must have been scolded harshly by his father-in-law. Actually, my father and my father-in-law were colleagues who worked hard together at the same company when they were young. My father told me that my father-in-law supported his independence. They were very excited when their children got married. That's why my father-in-law couldn't forgive his son's infidelity. Matthew was urged by his parents-in-law to fill out the divorce papers and sign the documents for the claim for alimony and child support. On the other hand, his lover agreed to pay the alimony with a smile, thinking that she would become the president's wife. I had a lot to say, but I decided not to say anything at the scene, because this silly woman was ridiculous. And then I submitted the divorce papers and the divorce was finalized. After that, the results of the investigation that I had been conducting in the company came up.
Chairman, the investigation results are ready.
Thank you for your hard work. How did it go? As expected, some employees had witnessed Matthew and his secretary flirting in the president's office during working hours. It seemed to be a rumor in the company. At the board meeting, we discussed the investigation results and decided to dismiss Matthew as president and fire his secretary, as the chairman myself said that their behavior was detrimental to the company's discipline. After my father's death, I became the chairman of the company and Matthew became the president, according to my father's wishes. I had promoted him for his management skills, but he must have misunderstood his position as soon as he became president. As for Matthew and his secretary after that, Matthew had told his secretary that she would become the president's wife someday, and she believed him and was happy when they met at the lawyer's office. But Matthew was dismissed as president and kicked out of the company, becoming unemployed. His secretary was furious and said it was not what they agreed on. She demanded that Matthew pay her share of the alimony as well. Matthew, now jobless, tried to rely on his parents, but his father was so angry that he wouldn't forgive him. He couldn't afford to pay the secretary's share, and they blamed each other and broke up. The secretary apologized to her ex-husband over and over, but he wouldn't accept her, and she eventually disappeared somewhere. and Matthew managed to get a job at a small company, but he was abandoned by his parents and lived alone in a shabby apartment. I kept getting apology calls and messages from Matthew, but I had nothing to say. But too late. I answered the phone once.
Elena, I'm really sorry. I'm a mess. The kids must be lonely, right? I'm done with Genesis. Let's live as a family like before.
I asked my daughters who were watching TV in the living room. Hey, your dad says he wants to live with us again. What do you think?
Gross. We don't need Dad.
Did you hear that? The kids don't need you either. Let's end this here.
Hey, wait a minute.
I hung up the phone. I never answered the phone again. As for me, I'm the chairman and president of the company my father founded, and I live a busy but fulfilling life every day. My daughters don't want to see Matthew, but they see their grandparents often. When I'm busy with work, my former parents-in-law are very supportive and I'm very grateful. This weekend, we're going to an amusement park with my children and my former parents-in-law, as my eldest daughter suggested.
Did you feel refreshed? If you like and subscribe to our channel, it will motivate us to make more videos. Please watch our next video too.